InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. Today we're looking at announcements from Canopy Growth Corporation, trading on the TSX as WEED and the New York Stock Exchange as CGC. Namaste Technologies Incorporated, trading on the TSX Venture as N, and Pivot Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, trading on the CSE as PVOT and the OTCQB as PVOTF. But first we look at Canada's continued push towards legalization this October. Today, Health Canada announced the regulations supporting the Cannabis Act. The cannabis regulations and the new industrial hemp regulations are based on the best practices from the previous regulations from producers of cannabis for the medical purposes and industrial hemp, as well as extensive consultations held over the past several years. The regulations include strict specifications for the plain packaging and labeling and analytical testing of all cannabis products, as well as stringent physical and personnel security requirements for all federally licensed production sites. They outline details on the licenses for the cultivation and processing of cannabis, including micro-size licenses, industrial hemp, research and analytical testing. The regulations also maintain a distinct, simple system of access to cannabis for the medical purposes. During the transition between royal assent and the coming into force of the Cannabis Act on October 17th of this year, the Government of Canada will continue to work with the provinces and territories, Indigenous communities, stakeholders, and regulated parties to promote understanding of and compliance with the regulations to help ensure an orderly transition to the new legal framework. The regulations announced today will be published in the Canadian Gazette, Part 2, on July 11th this year, and are also available upon request from Health Canada. Next, we look at Canopy Growth Corporation, who today released its consolidated financial results for the fourth quarter and fiscal year ending March 31st of this year. The main highlights for the quarter are a total licensed footprint exceeding 2.4 million square feet, 200,000 clones prepared and shipped from Ontario to jumpstart cultivation in the million square foot greenhouses in British Columbia, an inventory of approximately 15,700 kilograms of dry cannabis, 7,000 liters of cannabis oils, and 360 kilograms of soft gel capsules at the quarter end. They secured deep channels into Canadian recreational market, multi-year supply agreements with commitments totaling over 25,000 kilograms per year with 5 provinces and territories announced to date, and secured private brick-and-mortar and online cannabis retail licenses in Manitoba, Newfoundland, and Labrador and Saskatchewan. Annual and fourth quarter revenue of $77.9 million and $22.8 million, representing year-over-year increase of 95% and 56% respectively. Record Germany quarterly sales of $2.3 million and approximately $323 million cash on hand at the end of the year, fund domestic and global expansion. With the recent launch of our Spectrum soft gels, strong sales in Canada and Germany, and the expansion of our global footprint into Africa and further into Europe and Australia, we continue to drive our global leadership position in medical cannabis forward, said Bruce Linton, Chairman and CEO of Canopy Growth. The efforts of Canopy Growth and Canopy Health Innovations to develop a range of potential insurance cover-eligible cannabis-based medicines took a critical step forward with a recent receipt of approval to conduct its first in a planned series of clinical trials. Believing that combining Canopy Health's growth intellectual property portfolio with our production and advanced manufacturing platform will speed time to market and distributive medicines, we made the decision to pursue full ownership of Canopy Health Innovations. Next, we look at Namaste Technologies Incorporated, who announced the signing of a master service agreement with YPB Group Limited, an Australian-based product verification and customer engagement company. Namaste has identified the need for its global customers to have confidence in the products they are purchasing and for vendors to have access to granular data on their end users. As such, Namaste plans to introduce YPB's solutions across its network and manufacturers to Canadian licensed producers to bring certainty of authenticity and supply chain transparency to the entire legal cannabis industry globally. This coalition furthered Namaste's agenda in providing leadership technology platforms for its global marketplace and in enhancing the user experience for its customers. Finally, we look at Pivot Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, who announced that it will file an investigational new drug application with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and clinical trial application with Health Canada to begin a human clinical trials of PVT-005, the company's pharmaceutical drug candidate for the treatment of female hypoactive sexual desire disorder. HSDD, the most common type of female sexual dysfunction, affects approximately 12 million women in the U.S. alone. The condition is characterized by low sexual desire and marked distress, which not only attribute to existing medical, pharmacological, psychiatric, or relationship issues. Approximately 6 million premenopausal women meet the diagnosis of acquired generalized HSDD. Using Pivot's drug formulation and delivery platform technologies, the company will develop and aim to commercialize a topical cream containing cannabinoids, PVT-N005, for premenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women who have noticed a decline in sexual desire and response. While erectile dysfunction in men has been extensively researched, very little has been completed on female sexual dysfunction, which can involve reduced sex drive, difficulty becoming aroused, vaginal dryness, lack of orgasm, and decreased sexual satisfaction. That is all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor on this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment.